All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College EWD 1000 Web Development Technologies class, I've been going through and doing a series of video presentations based on the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. I'm in the JavaScript section, and we're still talking about synchronous and asynchronous type of code. All right, we've gone through the set timeout, the set interval, and now we're looking at the request animation frame, and this has got an example in here. It says you're going to create a simple spinner animation, the kind that might be displayed in an app when it's busy trying to connect to the user. It says in a real world, you'd probably use CSS animations to do this, but that's fine. So grab a basic template like this one. Okay. There's that. Put an empty div inside of the body and add that character to it. Interesting to see how this shows, but probably isn't going to show the way I want it to, but that's okay. Apply the following CSS to the template in whatever way you prefer. It sets a red background for the page, sets the body height to 100% of the HTML height, and centers the div inside of the body horizontally and vertically. Let's just throw it in the head section between two style tags. That'll work. All right. I wonder. I'm just going to check something out here. Just wondering if it would let me. No, that's not what I want. Well, there it is. So I guess we can use that one. So right mouse click, do a save image as. We'll throw it right on our desktop. It's a ping. I don't think that's going to matter. All right. Just call it arrow. All right. And that means that inside of here, we will replace this with image img source equal arrow.png. Okay. And let's save this as request animation.html. Spell request right. And let's save it to the desktop. All right, looks like it'll work to me, for me, so. There it is. Okay, a little bigger than I thought, but no problem. I know all the other stuff is working now too, so. I don't really need this paragraph, well, maybe we'll need it for later, so I'll leave it there. So this is my page. Let's put a couple breaks in here. All right, and let's also go in let's make this small. We'll scale this down a bit. So there it is. Open it up with Paint, go to Home, Resize, Pixels. It's 300 by 300. Let's make it about 100 by 100. And it looks a little better. So I'm going to save that. Come in here and run this again to see if I can make it look a little, that looks a little nicer. It's not giving me the line break there, and I'm not sure why, but that's okay. All right. Okay. Insert a script element just above the closing body tag. Insert the following JavaScript inside of your script element. Here you're storing a reference to the div. That's what this is doing. Setting a rotate count variable to 0. Setting an uninitialized variable called start time that will be used later to contain a reference to the request animation frame and, well, that's this. The start time, okay, and that's the one. That's the RAF, request animation frame. So let's grab this. Put it in here right before the end of our body, but before that, let's come in and put in, of course, our script tags. Throw that in. Whoops. All right, so we've got that. Below the previous code, insert a draw function that we're going to use to contain our code. And inside of the draw, we're going to put in this in just a second. Add the following lines. They will define the start time. If it is not defined already, this will only happen on the first time we go through the loop, and set the rotate count to a value to rotate the spinner. All right. Starting time stamp divided by 3, as it says, so it doesn't go too fast. All right. Next, below the previous line, inside draw, add the following block to ensure that the value of the rotate count is between 0 and 359 by setting its modulo to a modulo of 360, the remainder operator. All right. All right, so it says below the previous line inside draw. So I would think it means there. All right. Next, below the previous block, add the following to actually rotate the spinner. So I would think that would mean that you would want that outside of this. So that would be down here. At the very bottom, inside below the previous block, it says you can see the source code here. So let's see how they did that. I'm just going to grab everything inside of draw, and I'm going to put it right there in my program. There it is. All right, let's run it and see what happens. And then if it doesn't work, we'll run the other one. And you can see it rotating. Here we go. All right. Clearing a request animation frame can be done by calling the corresponding cancel animation frame. You just pass it in as they show right there, okay? All right. In this exercise, we'd like you to test this out by taking the previous code and updating it, adding an event listener to stop it. So you should basically set up a button or something so that you can start it and stop it. Okay? All right. One limitation of request animation frame is that you can't choose your frame rate. This isn't a problem most of the time. As generally, you want a frame to go as smooth as possible. But what if you want to create an old school 8-bit style animation? This was a problem, for example, in the Monkey Island inspired walking animation that they're showing here. In this example, you have to animate both the position of the character on the screen and the sprite being shown. There are only 6 frames in the sprite's animation if you showed a different frame every time it was displayed on the screen. Then it would move too fast and it would just look ridiculous, as they say. So they show how you can fix it. I'm not going to do any more than that. So, all right. So it says in the final section of this game, you'll create a 2-player reaction game. All right. When the start button is pressed, the spinner goes. After that time, so we tell it to go. All right, I'm not even sure what they want, so I'm just going to stop it right here. And as it says, all the essentials of async loops and intervals were covered in this article. You'll find these methods useful in a lot of situations, but be careful not to overuse them. So in the next one, we will talk about graceful asynchronous programming using promises. Back with that one soon.